competitions?
Yeah, I have no really firm opinion about it. I have not been in too many. I've been in a few.
How about the Bösendorfer Prize, first of all?
The Bösendorfer Prize is always, I voted for the wrong person. No, it was at the time when I was on the jury, they gave it to somebody who started out with Mozart, I vous dirais maman variations, and played them very beautifully, and I thought, well, that's the end of that, you know. I mean, you don't win a competition with Mozart variations. That's about it, you know. And somebody who played fireworks all over the place didn't get it, you know. And
for one piece?
No, not for one piece. I mean, but the whole program was on the refined and very, very neat and beautiful, but not the exciting type. And so, I mean, that's you know, and that's
it is a competition, though.
It is a competition, and it's a very prestigious competition, and you get a Bösendorfer piano which you can pick out among the available pianos at the time, and it's very, very high.
And you won?
I won it way back in 1930 something. Okay.
Did you get a piano?
I got a piano, and the conditions of the award are that it is to be awarded to a worthy, not wealthy, best graduate of the last 2-year period of the Vienna Conservatory. So you have to be a student at the Hochschule. And that it is to further the musical atmosphere and culture of Austria. Consequently, the piano cannot be exported. If the man who's, or a girl who is awarded the piano, moves away from Austria, the piano is bought back by the firm, see, by Bösendorfer. And so that was the case in my case, since I had to leave Austria, you see. Now, of course, they were not very enthusiastic at the time to have to fork out money when the Nazis were there, and they knew they wouldn't sell any pianos for a long time because they were not in with a regime as Bechstein had been.
Was,
yes.
With the Nazis.
With the Nazis, yes. And they were not, and one knew they were Catholic, very Catholic.
Bechstein was a
Bechstein was a Nazi. I mean, played footsie with them. And got all sorts of benefits. So they weren't very enthusiastic about having to buy it back, but they did. They gave me money. I don't remember how much. And so then I left, and the piano was then sort of repossessed by them. I had been in with them before because I taught the sons of the British ambassador in Vienna. And the ambassador at one time wanted to buy a Bösendorfer piano and asked me to go and select one. And I did. And the customary thing is then to give the one who selects a commission. And I refused the commission. Even prior to having that award, you see, even prior to having it, I thought it was unethical.
Who was the ambassador from England?
Phipps, Phipps. And Mrs. Phipps was a very, very interesting woman, and the two boys were not too bad. I mean, they were no great shakes, but they were all right. I forget the first name of that man. Very nice, very, very nice. I played there at one time also for some reception or something like that. Anyway, so they liked me, you see, and so I got this award, and I had it for several years. It must have been 1932 or so, I would imagine. No, it can't be, because I graduated. Yes, 1932-ish, and so I got this. Then, after the Second World War, and after we had been given this tour, you know, to lead for students and so on to Vienna, she dreamed up the idea maybe we can now get a second-hand Bösendorfer. And when we came there, they remembered me and all that, and was upset, second-hand Bösendorfers don't exist, nobody ever gives one back, you know, it lasts forever, out of the question. Then we went to Naples, for a year, and there suddenly came a letter, the ambassador of India wants to sell his Bösendorfer or give and buy another, a new one or something like that. Maybe that's available. But then, unfortunately, the ambassador of India changed his mind and didn't give the Bösendorfer back. So that was again nothing. Then she, without my knowing it, got into correspondence again and said, if there is ever a chance, let me know about it. But I don't want my husband, me, to know anything about it. By a fluke, I did find out about it. You see, they had one, and she gave the address of Mrs. Christini to the middleman, so I wouldn't know about it. And
I know about her secrets from your surprise party.
Yes, and by a fluke and by a postman who for a change, acted intelligent but not smart, you know. The letter was transferred here, and I opened it because it came from Brazil, so I knew about it. Anyway, then we went on this went another tour. I think it was a visit to Vienna, and anyway, so I saw this piano there, and it's by now 48 years old, I think, and then it was 35 years old or something like that, and. I loved it, and they fixed it up for a minimal charge, you know, and didn't charge me anything for the piano. I paid at that currency, I think $1,200 or something like that, for a completely new inside, and they shipped it, and the transportation costed, I think, $300, and then when it was set up on its legs here, it was a little out of tune, but one could immediately sit down and play it. You know, it was incredible. However, there was still a quirk because it went by seaway to Chicago, see, by the canal and all that sort of thing. And on the night before the piano was to arrive here by truck, the tuner called me and said one of the trucks that is shipping pianos from Chicago got on fire. And watch out when you get the piano that it isn't fire damaged. So I thought, here we go. But it wasn't that truck, it was another truck. And the piano was in perfect condition. And so here it is. And I had in the meantime put new hammers in. And so that's it.
Is it similar to the piano you won?
No, it is a little smaller. It is a little smaller, but it is a very beautiful person.
Yeah. Really is. Was the contest rounds, elimination type thing?
What do you mean?
The Bösendorfer competition.
Competition as such.
Yeah.
Well, you presented a recital program of which they then picked.
I see. And that was, the decision was made on that basis?
On that basis, yes. Yes. And I think it was above board, and there was no preference for a Swiss versus a Bulgarian or anything of that sort. That is not the case. On the Casella contest in Naples,
for which you were
for which I was on the jury, yes, which was chairman was Guido Agosti.
Yeah.
And it was influence was being exerted. There was a telegram from the ministry to promote one of their babies or something. I don't know what the connection was. It probably was the nephew of the cardinal. And as I found out afterwards, that is always counterproductive, you see, because the jury will then they will absolutely not listen to it. But it is customary in Italy, you see, strange, you know. And the winner was a student of Vincenzo Vitale, whom I had replaced, you see. Well, so to say, I mean, I taught it for 1 year. We are still in correspondence. That was Campanella, exactly. And he made a very substantial career since. And so I would say this was a good judgment. The runner-up was Dockman, who is William Dockman, yes, who is a very good pianist and is teaching, was teaching at Michigan, exactly, and was then in Texas. I think what he's doing now, I do not know. He was the runner-up.
Yes, he was at University of Texas. And
yes,
he was.
Yes, yes.
He may have been a student of this Dalí's.
Yes, I think that's true. Yes, yes, yes. And it was an interesting.
In fact, a student, Larry Campbell, you may remember, student Mr. Shubb,
right,
studied with him somewhere along.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so that was a good judgment.
I think so. It looked terribly like it was a underhanded affair because it was a student of somebody on the jury, and Vincenzo Vitali is a pusher, and it looked awfully as if he had bribed them with spaghetti or something, but it wasn't, I'm convinced it wasn't. So that was that contest. Then I was at one time for the what was that the national MTNA. Yes, I was on the national board, and there we gave a three-man committee. Richard Cass was on the committee. Who the third one was, I forget. We gave the first prize to a fellow with a Polish name, and I can't remember it, who is now teaching somewhere, who was a student of James Avery. Yeah, and the second prize was a fellow by name of Boppe, same spelling as this. Yeah,
It's Hans.
Hans, yes, who is no longer here, who is now in California someplace. Maybe it was the wrong judgment because this other fellow who played very, very neatly never made anything, you see. I mean, further his teaching, and that's it, at least as far as I know. While Boppe has a little bit of success and is an awful nice guy, and it was a little embarrassing then to have him here, as we call it, and knowing that I had voted him down and so on. But at that time it was my honest opinion, you see. Then another contest that I judged was this festival in Spokane, Washington. And that's one of those contests that are very nicely run, very well organized, but perfectly idiotic because any instrument can compete against any other instrument. And that's one of those. Now, I think that is really something that should be abolished by law. And yet, the funny thing is that in the finals, there were two. One was an organist and the other was an accordion player. I don't have to tell you, I gave it to the accordion player. Because she was a performer, And the organist played the organ, For better or worse. And it was very funny, that girl played, So, now I'm going to Provo, Utah, as you know.
For the Bach Hour.
For the Bach Hour, yes.
As
a judge and in connection with two lectures, they didn't give me a master class, but I did two lectures. Anyway, but my conclusion is, contests that are not confined to at least a group of instruments, you see, another contest. The Indianapolis Symphony had a contest for at one time at least, where they wanted organists to play with the orchestra. See, there are only 2.5 concertos for organ and orchestra. And both entrants played the Poulenc concerto, yes? The first one starts out with big chord, played, so good, all right. Then comes the second one. He starts out with a big chord, and you know after the second measure this was it.
Yeah.
Even on a mechanical instrument like the organ, it's incredible. I didn't think it was possible. It's plain organ, both cases. It was an eye opener.
Let me ask you this: do you think a contest, if let's say we're in a contest, is it best if everyone plays the same repertoire or very similar repertoire?
Yes, I think several things. A contest where different instruments are played out against each other are silly. A required piece would be desirable, though it is terrible to have to listen to it. I listened to the Bach G major French suite 53 times in Naples. See, under preliminaries. And I think you crawl up the walls, you see. However, half asleep and drugged as you are at the 44th time, there comes somebody who plays and has personality, and you wake up again, you know? So
it works
it's
out.
hard. It's hard on the jury, very hard. But I do think that in order to make it more or less objective, it would be desirable to have a required piece. Yes, yes. It should be
not necessarily
not
everything,
not necessarily a piece, but something comparable.
and not all of the repertoire.
And not all of the repertoire. No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. What would be very desirable and would clear the name of juries and be of great benefit to the contestants would be if they would get written criticism. I think it should be any test, and I've tried to maintain that in my teaching too. Any test should be a learning experience, not only a trial of nerves. And if one could at least jot down 3 words, you see, of criticism, it would do away with this was politics that I didn't get it, you know, and it would soothe ruffled feelings and avoid some of the traumas that are necessarily connected with contests.
When do you advise a student to enter a competition?
Depending on what competition it is.
And the student.
There I am rather in, you see, a different opinion from this my harsh criticism of teachers who try to break students and then build them up, you know. I think if you enter a competition, this is professionalism, and you better get used to being hurt. And so I'm rather in favor of it and doing it early. Again, not out with Queen Elizabeth as the first competition you enter, and not to start out with a Hammerklavier Sonata, because it's hopeless.
Yes, yeah.
It's hopeless. And to build up very, very carefully for it and have trial performances and all that sort of thing.
Yes.
But
do you believe in contest for the experience of it?
no, I think that is a misdemeanor. You cannot take musicians' time on a jury to just give little Susie an experience. No, I think that is wrong. The teacher must be fairly confident that he or she would make a decent showing. I've heard this tape contest, you see now, as I told you, I think about yesterday, and there were obviously a few people, you know, who were sent to play for the experience. Now, of course, you turn the tape off after 6 measures, you see, because you know this is absolutely hopeless. And it is on the one hand necessary to give the entrant a chance to show his wares. One shouldn't cut him off immediately, because that is an implied criticism and thwarts him. But on the other hand, usually after 2 lines of a piece, one knows is you know.
What advice would you have to a student in a competition? I suppose the worst sin is to bore the jury. You've got to psych out the jury.
Yeah. Since this seems to be one of the very few avenues still more or less open for young budding artists, I would in general encourage it if somebody is really serious and wants to have some kind of a career.
You mean rather than the old patronage systems of starting a career?
Well, if you get an old lady to pay for you, that's better.
Yeah.
Hurts much less. There are only two ways to make a career: either to have an angel or to win competitions. That's all that's left. Because the old impresario system, where somebody will put up money because he believes in that young man, you know, and he will eventually make money out of him. You see, he has a slave who will eventually turn out to be a gold man. That doesn't exist anymore.
Like Hermann Wolf and
exactly,
Europe.
Yes, and Europe did. But that I don't think it exists anymore. You plunk down money first of all.
Russians have a pretty organized competition system.
Yes. They
really
try
like
to weed them out, and like racehorses, they send them all over the place to play that program to smooth it out. We don't have it, and that is why Americans don't often show up as well as we could.
A lot of people think competitions are great. You should go into them working like hell, expecting nothing, and if you get a chance to give a performance, that's wonderful.
You don't go into a competition expecting nothing. You tell people that, and you make yourself believe it, but it isn't so. You go to win, and you are hurt to the quick if you don't.
So let's not try and
fool ourselves. You don't. Just like I don't believe that anybody walks out on stage without having his pants. You give me a performer, a constipated performer, and I pay $1,000. That doesn't exist.
When's this Bachauer thing coming?
This Bachauer thing starts on the 23rd of June. Silverman of the Piano Quarterly wrote an article on his experiences as an observer. I think he was there.
What are you looking for?
What a personality.
Personality. By that, you mean something different, something that distinguishes?
Something that distinguishes, yes. Yeah. Something that makes me sit up and listen. You see, by bitter experience here, with so many different styles of piano playing, I've tried not to have preconceived notions how a piece goes. Now, of course, I think how I would want my students, or God forbid myself, to play the piece, you see. But if somebody has an entirely different idea, as long as it's within reason, and I hope I can judge that, and he can do what he sets out to do, yes, and gives me something to chew on, so to say, I will buy it.
What he sets out to do, you mean to be convincing?
To be convincing for what he's doing with that composition. I try to be made Catholic in my taste, let's say. See?
And this is all presuming technical proficiency and
one doesn't talk about technique anymore. Everybody plays the piano well enough these days. Yes? It's just no longer interesting, you see. Whether he whittles the finger one way or whittles the finger another way is absolutely uninteresting. I'm not going there to study the fingerings or the wrist position.
Stage presence, manners, things like that?
Yeah, I think they do count to some extent. Well, you can't help it. I think that you see, we had concerto contests behind screens. That I think is no, because why does one still go to concerts and doesn't listen to recordings only? You know, recordings are better. There's no question about it. But one wants to see the guy sweat. It contributes something to the enjoyment or whatever you call it. You see. Yes, the visual aspect I think is important. It shouldn't be if somebody walks out like Napoleon and then plays like Susie Jones, that wouldn't.
Have recordings hurt or helped, or what kind of?
Recordings have, on the one hand, broadened the knowledge of acquaintance with music, not knowledge, but acquaintance with music of an incredible mass of people, yes? They have made music schools in the sticks possible, yes? We couldn't have a music school in Bloomington, Indiana, of all places, if there were no recordings, yes? How could we? They have made the general public super critical. The more somebody listens to recordings, the more critical he gets of performances, yes? And very few people are smart enough to say, yes, on a recording you can snip tapes together, you see, and that's not the real performance, and the real performance will always have a wrong note here or there or something that is not as controlled as a record can be. And so the worst people to have live performances judged are record buffs. they are cruel. They're absolutely cruel. Yes? Yeah. I've made that experience very, very frequently here. They have set records have set a standard that is almost impossible to reach, and they have thereby on the one hand have the healthy effect of narrowing down the market for live performers. Only the very best can even hope to live up to recordings. They have, on the other hand, shifted the emphasis to note perfection and with an attendant loss of devil-may-care freedom. Yes, so that many performers sound exactly the same as many other performers. They have caused students not to be musically literate. Yes? Because first thing a student does is go down to the record library and listen to the recording, yes? Yeah, and they are not preserving music for eternity. Because A, the record, as soon as the man is dead, if he's not Toscanini, the records are no longer available. And
it's peculiar. I've always thought that's peculiar.
Yes. It's an industry, and they will discontinue the line, you know. So and that's one thing. And then of course the style of playing changes, and records of nowadays will be as obsolete as records of 1915 are.
I don't feel that on the piano records you really do lose a lot. I don't think it sounds like a live.
It does not sound
really
like a live performance.
And I don't know if I'm hypersensitive or what, but to me the tonal quality is different.
No, of course. A record does not give the whole frequency, and they can tell me any number of technical terms and gobbledygook. I mean, all little distortions. It sounds different. I mean, it's out of the box and not the live thing. Partly because we miss the visual element, but only partly. It's really the sound that is.
Well, even from one seat in the hall to the next.
Yes. So it's a wonderful thing, and yet it has the quality of a sax a little bit.
Yeah. You've made some records all along the way, even
my very first week I was here. You see, Renardi had started to record the Schubert violin piano sonatas with Taubman, well-known accompanist at that time. And Taubman, for some reason, couldn't continue. He was sick. He was on tour. I don't know. And so we started with Sonata 3, and then the people at Columbia said, "No, that's silly. I meant to have two pianists. Let's do the whole thing over again." You see, and so then we played that recording of the three sonatinas, and it came out in very good reviews. Very good reviews. And of course, the Renardi records are no longer available anywhere. Because
when you record, how do they make you feel? Is it nerve-wracking?
Well, it was different, of course, in the days when you had to record a whole side, you know, and
right then and
there, and no snipping of tapes, you see, and that was a trial of nerves, and you practiced like mad.
Yeah, you did.
Did you practice? And because, you see, time was of the essence. I remember going with Renardi to record, and out came Arau in a fury. he had tried to record and nothing went that day.
Just
It didn't go, and he was mad at himself, at the world, at everything. Nothing had gone, That can happen.
Yeah.
And that was where you played the entire side, and if in the last 10 seconds you hit the wrong note, then the side was ruined, It was something.
Yeah.
Now
we're getting back to that
little
with this not quadraphonic, but there's a new technique of recording now
Yes.
where you have to do that, and it supposedly sounds more alive. And what do they call it? Acoustic recording.
So
It's now back in fashion, and you have to play wrong notes. Now your manager is angry if you don't play.
I didn't know that.
I don't think it's true, but that's how they do it.
I see. And then of course I did some recordings on this very, very questionable Indiana University Artist Series. That was simply a tape affair.
And you did that in the MAC?
Yes.
In the hall?
No, in the recital hall.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But then I did two sides of a disc with two people on the faculty here, both wind players. And we had one rehearsal and then the recording. And it was the smoothest thing that you ever
With
ever
power
heard.
rights was this?
No, that was with Sharov.
Leonard Shaw.
And it was a smooth thing. I am a great believer in the tape recorder.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much for practicing with a tape recorder, though maybe I should have done it more. Yeah, I get so nervous with this fussing around with this sort of thing. It takes more time than to do this thing, practice it over again, And I flatter myself that I do hear pretty well what I'm doing, However, I am listening now to old tapes at times, and I play everything too fast. Everything too fast. But anyway. But I am a great believer in the tape recorder to record entirely. Not so much the first performance, when the student plays through, as then the commentaries and criticisms, you see, because then you don't force the student to do it right then and there and put him under this terrible pressure. And also you avoid having the student say, you didn't say that, or you said exactly the opposite.
Advertising, how do you prepare students for recital?
I don't prepare them, they prepare themselves. By making sure that they play not only each piece without interruption, but they play the entire program. It's a different dimension. You may know each piece very well when you play it by itself. There is a different span of attention when you have to distribute your efforts over an entire evening. By having them play as many rather formal pre-trial performances, yes? It doesn't matter whether it's for your deaf old Aunt Susie or whether it's for 10 critical colleagues, It is the feeling that they must have. This is it. I cannot stop and start practicing that spot because it didn't go well, yes? I think that is the decisive thing, you see, that they feel the pressure of, I got to go through come hell or high water, yes? Beyond that, I don't think one can do very much. I've never been of the opinion one has any effect on a student, but they look, after all, this will not be so bad, it'll be over in a half hour, and you play this thing so often, why are you afraid of it? That's, that doesn't cut any ice, not at all.
Nor to completely rip them up,
nor completely rip them up, or anything that you will be afraid. You will be afraid. And you've got to be trained so well that you can cross that bridge under fire, yeah, and not panic. Maybe you will, but you've got to at least have a reasonable chance that you'll be that well prepared. I have seen funny things happen. Starker had a student, very good student, I forget who it was, play, and he flopped all over the place. And Starker went backstage, and one heard him scream at that student backstage. One heard him in the hall scream at him. The student came out and played beautifully. I thought this would be the end of everything, you know. So you never know. You never know. But what I'm convinced of is this baby talk doesn't do it.
Thank you.